Hello there, squirrel listeners. So sorry I didn't read yesterday. It was my birthday. I should have read, but I just didn't get around to it. Chapter 12 is called A Friend in Need. Friday and Saturday passed uneventfully. Tuppence had received a brief answer to her appeal from Mr. Carter. In it, he pointed out that the young adventurers had undertaken the work at their own risk and had been fully warned of the dangers. If anything happened to Tommy, he regretted it deeply, but he could do nothing. This was cold comfort. Somehow, without Tommy, all the savor went out of the adventure, and for the first time, Tuppence felt doubtful of success. While they had been together, she had never questioned it for a minute. Although she was accustomed to take the lead and to pride herself on her quick-wittedness, in reality she had relied upon Tommy more than she realized at the time. There was something so eminently sober and clear-headed about him. His common sense and soundness of vision were so unvarying that without him, Tuppence felt much like a rudderless ship. It was curious that Julius, who was undoubtedly much cleverer than Tommy, did not give her the same feeling of support. She had accused Tommy of being a pessimist, and it is certain that he always saw the disadvantages and difficulties which she herself was optimistically given to overlooking, but nonetheless she had really relied a good deal on his judgment. He might be slow, but he was very sure. It seemed to the girl that for the first time she realized the sinister character of the mission they had undertaken so light-heartedly. It had begun like a page of romance. Now, shorn of its glamour, it seemed to be turning to grim reality. Tommy, that was all that mattered. Many times in the day, Tuppence blinked the tears out of her eyes resolutely. "Little fool," she would apostrophize herself. "Don't snivel. Of course you're fond of him. You've known him all your life, but there's no need to be sentimental about it." In the meantime, nothing more was seen of Boris. He did not come to the flat, and Julius and the car waited in vain. Tuppence gave herself over to new meditations. Whilst admitting the truth of Julius's objection, she had nevertheless not entirely relinquished the idea of appealing to Sir James Peel Edgerton. Indeed, she had gone so far as to look up his address in the Red Book. Had he meant to warn her that day? If so, why? Surely she was at least entitled to demand an explanation. He had looked at her so kindly. Perhaps he might tell them something concerning Mrs. Vandemeyer which might lead to a clue to Tommy's whereabouts. Anyway, Tuppence decided with her usual shake of the shoulders it was worth trying, and try it she would. Sunday was her afternoon out. She would meet Julius, persuade him to her point of view, and they would beard the lion in his den. When the day arrived, Julius needed a considerable amount of persuading, but Tuppence held firm. "It can do no harm," was what she always came back to. In the end, Julius gave in, and they proceeded in the car to Carlton House Terrace. The door was opened by an irreproachable butler. Tuppence felt a little nervous. After all, perhaps it was colossal cheek on her part. She had decided not to ask if Sir James was at home, but to adopt a more personal attitude. "Will you ask Sir James if I can see him for a few minutes? I have an important message for him." The butler retired, returning a moment or two later. "Sir James will see you. Will you step this way?" He ushered them into a room at the back of the house. furnished as a library. The collection of books was a magnificent one, and Tuppence noticed that all one wall was devoted to works on crime and criminology. There were several deep padded leather armchairs and an old-fashioned open hearth. I would love to have a library. This is my yarn library. Yarn castle. Stone walls. Bag is looking crazy. It's on top of a tall, cylindrical storage container for yarn. Hearth. In the window was a big roll-top desk strewn with papers at which the master of the house was sitting. He rose as they entered. "You have a message for me?" "Ah." He recognized Tuppence with a smile. "It's you, is it? Brought a message from Mrs. Vandermeyer, I suppose?" "Not exactly," said Tuppence. "In fact, I'm afraid I only said that to be quite sure of getting in. Oh, by the way, this is Mr. Hersheimer, Sir James Peel Edgerton." "Pleased to meet you," said the American, shooting out a hand. "Won't you both sit down?" asked Sir James. He drew forward 2 chairs. "Sir James," said Tuppence, plunging boldly, "I dare say you will think it most awful cheek of me coming here like this, because of course it's nothing whatever to do with you, and then you're a very important person, and of course Tommy and I are very unimportant." She paused for breath. "Tommy? Tommy?" queried Sir James, looking across at the American. "No, that's Julius," explained Tuppence. "I'm rather nervous, and that makes me tell it badly. What I really want to know is what you meant by what you said to me the other day. Did you mean to warn me against Mrs. Vandermeyer? You did, didn't you?" "My dear young lady, as far as I recollect, I only mentioned that there were equally good situations to be obtained elsewhere." "Yes, I know, but it was a hint, wasn't it?" "Well, perhaps it was," admitted Sir James gravely. "Well, I want to know more. I want to know just why you gave me a hint." Sir James smiled at her earnestness. "Suppose the lady brings a libel action against me for defamation of character?" "Of course," said Tuppence. "I know lawyers are always dreadfully careful, but can't we say without prejudice first, and then say just what we want to?" "Well," Sir James, still smiling, "without prejudice, then. If I had a young sister forced to earn her living, I should not like to see her in Mrs. Vandermeyer's service. I felt it incumbent on me just to give you a hint. It's no place for a young and inexperienced girl. That's all I can tell you." "I see," said Tuppence thoughtfully. "Thank you very much. But I'm not really inexperienced, you know. I knew perfectly well she was a bad lot when I went there. As a matter of fact, that's why I went." She broke off, seeing some bewilderment on the lawyer's face, and went on. "I think perhaps I'd better tell you the whole story, Sir James. I've a sort of feeling that you'd know in a minute if I didn't tell the truth, and so you might as well know all about it from the beginning. What do you think, Julius?" "As you're bent on it, I'd go right ahead with the facts," replied the American, who had so far sat in silence. "Yes, tell me all about it," said Sir James. "I want to know who this Tommy is." Thus encouraged, Tuppence plunged into her tale, and the lawyer listened with close attention. "Very interesting," he said when she finished. "A great deal of what you tell me, child, is already known to me. I've had certain theories of my own about this Jane Finn. You've done extraordinarily well so far, but it's rather too bad of, what do you know him as? Mr. Carter, to pitchfork you 2 young things into an affair of into an affair of this kind. By the way, where did Mr. Hersheimer come in originally? You didn't make that clear." Julius answered for himself. "I'm Jane's first cousin," he explained, returning the lawyer's keen gaze. "Ah." "Oh, Sir James," broke out Tuppence, "what do you think has become of Tommy?" The lawyer rose and paced up and down. "When you arrived, young lady, I was just packing up my traps, going to Scotland by the night train for a few days fishing, but there are different kinds of fishing. I've a good mind to stay and see if we can't get on the track of that young chap." "Oh," Tuppence clasped her hands ecstatically. "All the same, as I said before, it's too bad of Carter to set you two babies on a job like this. Now, don't get offended, Miss Cowley, Prudence Cowley, but my friends call me Tuppence." "Well, Miss Tuppence, then, as I'm certainly going to be a friend, don't be offended because I think you're young. Youth is a failing only too easily outgrown. Now about this young Tommy of yours." "Yes?" Tuppence clasped her hands. "Frankly, things look bad for him. He's been butting in somewhere where he wasn't wanted. Not a doubt of it, but don't give up hope." "And you really will help us? There, Julius, he didn't want me to come," she added by way of explanation. Said the lawyer, favoring Julius with another keen glance. "And why was that?" "I reckoned it would be no good worrying you with a petty little business like this." "I see." He paused a moment. "This petty little business, as you call it, bears directly on a very big business, bigger perhaps than either you or Miss Tuppence know. If this boy is alive, he may have very valuable information to give us. Therefore, we must find him." "Yes, but how?" cried Tuppence. "I've tried to think of everything." Sir James smiled. "And yet there's one person quite near at hand who in all probability knows where he is, or at all events where he's likely to be." "Who is that?" asked Tuppence, puzzled. "Mrs. Vandermeyer." "Yes, but she'd never tell us." "Ah, that's where I come in. I think it quite likely that I shall be able to make Mrs. Vandermeyer tell me what I want to know." "How?" demanded Tuppence, opening her eyes very wide. "Oh, just by asking her questions," replied Sir James easily. "That's the way we do it, you know." He tapped with his finger on the table, and Tuppence felt again the intense power that radiated from the man. "And if she won't tell?" asked Julius suddenly. "I think she will. I have one or two powerful levers. Still, in that unlikely event, there's always the possibility of bribery." "Sure, and that's where I come in," cried Julius, bringing his fist down on the table with a bang. "You can count on me, if necessary, for $1 million. Yes, sir, $1 million. Sir James sat down and subjected Julius to long scrutiny. "Mr. Hersheimer," he said at last, "that's a very large sum." "I guess it'll have to be. These aren't the kind of folks to offer sixpence to. At the present rate of exchange, it amounts to considerably over £250,000. That's so. Maybe you think I'm talking through my hat, but I can deliver the goods all right, with enough over to spare for your fee." Sir James flushed slightly. "There is no question of a fee, Mr. Hersheimer. I'm not a private detective." "Sorry, I guess I was just a mite hasty, but I've been feeling bad about this money question. I wanted to offer a big reward for news of Jane some days ago, but your crusted institution of Scotland Yard advised me against it, said it was undesirable. They were probably right, said Sir James dryly, but it's all okay about Julius, put in Tuppence. No, that's not a question. But it's all okay with Julius, put in Tuppence. He's not pulling your leg. He's got simply pots of money. The old man piled it up. Oh, the old man piled it up in style, explained Julius. Now let's get down to it. What's your idea? Sir James considered for a moment or two. There's no time to be lost. The sooner we strike, the better. He turned to Tuppence. Is Mrs. Vandemeyer dining out tonight, do you know? Yes, I think so, but she will not be out late. Otherwise, she would have taken the latchkey. Good. I will call upon her about 10 o'clock. What time are you supposed to return? About 9:30 or 10, but I could go back earlier. You must not do that on any account. It might arouse suspicion if you did not stay till the usual time. Be back by 9:30, and I'll arrive at 10. Mr. Hersheimer will wait below in a taxi, perhaps. He's got a new Rolls-Royce car, said Tuppence with vicarious pride. Even better, if I succeed in obtaining the address from her, we can go there at once, taking Mrs. Vandemeyer with us if necessary, you understand? Yes, Tuppence rose to her feet with a skip of delight. Oh, I feel so much better. Don't build on it too much, Miss Tuppence. Go easy. Julius turned to the lawyer. Say, then, I'll call for you in the car around 9:30. Is that right? Perhaps that would be the best plan. It would be unnecessary to have two cars waiting about. Now, Miss Tuppence, my advice to you is to go and have a good dinner. A really good one, mind. And don't think ahead more than you can help. He shook hands with them both, and a moment later they were outside. Isn't he a duck? Inquired Tuppence ecstatically as she skipped down the steps. Oh, Julius, isn't he just a duck? Well, I allow he seems to be the goods all right. I was wrong about its being useless to go to him. Say, shall we go right away back to the Ritz? I must walk a bit, I think. I feel so excited. Drop me in the park, will you, unless you'd like to come too. I want to get some petrol, he explained, and sent off a cable or two. All right, I'll meet you at the Ritz at 7. We'll have to dine upstairs. I can't show myself in these glad rags. Sure, I'll get Felix help me choose the menu. He's some head waiter, that. So long. Tuppence walked briskly along towards the Serpentine, first glancing at her watch. It was nearly 6 o'clock. She remembered that she had no tea, but felt too excited to be conscious of hunger. She waited as far as Kensington Gardens, and then slowly retraced her steps, feeling infinitely better for the fresh air and exercise. It was not so easy to follow Sir James's advice and put the possible events of her evening out of her head. As she drew nearer and nearer to Hyde Park Corner, the temptation to return to South Audley Mansions was almost irresistible. At any rate, she decided it would do no harm just to go and look at the building. Perhaps then she could resign herself to waiting patiently for 10 o'clock. South Audley Mansions looked exactly the same as usual. What Tuppence had expected she hardly knew, but the sight of its red brick stolidly, slightly assuaged the growing and entirely unreasonable uneasiness that possessed her. She was just turning away when she heard a piercing whistle, and the faithful Albert came running from the building to join her. Tuppence frowned. It was no part of the program to have attention called to her presence in the neighborhood, but Albert was purple with suppressed excitement. "I say, miss, she's a-goin'." "Who's going?" demanded Tuppence sharply. "The crook, Reddy Rita, Mrs. Vandermeyer. She's a-packing up, and she's just sent down word for me to get her a taxi." "What?" Tuppence clutched his arm. "It's the truth, miss. I thought maybe you didn't know about it." "Albert!" cried Tuppence. "You're a brick. If it hadn't been for you, we'd have lost her." Albert flushed with pleasure at this tribute. "There's no time to lose," said Tuppence, crossing the road. "I've got to stop her at all costs. I must keep her here until—" She broke off. "Albert, there's a telephone here, isn't there?" The boy shook his head. "The flats mostly have their own, miss, but there's a box just round the corner." "Go to it then at once and ring up the Ritz Hotel. Ask for Mr. Hersheimer. And when you get him, tell him to get Sir James and come on at once, as Mrs. Vandermeyer is trying to hook it. I'd say book it. If you can't get him, ring up Sir James Peel Edgerton. You'll find his number in the book and tell him what's happening. You won't forget the names, will you?" "I would, I'm sure." Albert repeated them glibly. You trust to me, miss. It'll be all right. But what about you? Aren't you afraid to trust yourself with her?" No, that's all right. But go and telephone her. Be quick." Drawing a long breath, Tuppence entered the mansions and ran up to the door of number 20. How she was to detain Mrs. Vandermeyer until the two men arrived, she did not know, but somehow or other it had to be done. And she must accomplish the task single-handed. What had occasioned this precipitate departure? Did Mrs. Vandermeyer suspect her? Speculations were idle. Tuppence pressed the bell firmly. She might learn something from the crook. Nothing happened, and after waiting minutes, Tuppence pressed the bell again, keeping her finger on the button for some little while. At last she heard footsteps inside, and a moment later Mrs. Vandermeyer herself opened the door. Whew! Lord have mercy. It goes on and on and on. I think I'm going to have to stop, y'all. Phew. Yeah, Mrs. Vandermeyer opened the door. She lifted her eyebrows at the sight of the girl. Stop there. Sorry, but I'm done. I've had this sinus deal. Got a sinus headache, eyeballs hurt, all that junk. Hey, at least the hernia's in check. So far, so good. Here's a little peek at one of the fibers of the day tomorrow. It's just some stuff I have sitting around. And I love this stuff, and I have not I got so much on that I love. Acrylic, cotton, bougie. And I'm working on this with a skinny cake, but it's gorgeous. Haven't got much more done. Just hadn't really felt too great. But it's coming along. It's coming along. I thought I goofed, but now I think I'm okay. Although, yeah, right here, I don't know if you can tell it, this has one more row between the drop stitches. It's not supposed to have that much. So, anyway, yeah, I did goof, see? Hang on, hold everything. Hold fast, like Mama used to say. Yeah, because see, this was the front. This is the front of it. And it shouldn't have any... Where did I just see that now? Places like this. That's supposed to be on the back side. So I got front and back mixed up just because I put one doggone extra row in there. But I might put another extra row in sometime soon and get it back right again. Or I might just not worry about it, because you really have to kinda, or I do, and I don't usually, but I think since it's not got pearls in it, that makes it look kind of the same on both sides. So, whatever. So, but it's just got the blue. I'll be showing more of this tomorrow. The blue and the greens. But look, I've only got this much more green until I get the purple. Or the plumish. The plumish bit. It's got just a little of this. Yeah, maybe more than I thought. This stuff hides down in here. And then we go into this bit. And then this darker bit. And then we start repeating back to the blue. And I want to keep going till I use up most of this cake. Maybe. I don't know. Because I don't want this thing to be huge and hang down to my knees. But, you know, I want it to be a generous size. Using the bougie needles. Y'all get extra content because you poor things listen to me read. Look. Macchiato. Isn't that a kind of coffee? This set, I'm going to show this tomorrow too. So again, y'all are getting... Oh, and the other thing I'm working on is a Pfeiffer hat. My college colors. So I have worked on this a little bit too. I'm trying to make this kind of tam-like, so it's got a lot of stitches in it. I hope I have enough. I only have four in all. This is one, and it's almost done for. I should have enough. This is my German yarn. This is from Reggie. I won one of her giveaways. So anyway, but here is the bougie needle set. And y'all, Kelly's on. Kelly's been on. I was over at Man for Makes Sam. I was at her birthday party a while ago. I won these from one of Daigo's fundraisers. It's either a fundraiser or a birthday thing. Look how bougie this is. This thing cost a lot. Like over $100. like maybe at least 150 and maybe 180 or something like that. And it came from Rebecca Bishop. She donated it to Dago, and Dago could have kept it, but she put it up for a prize. And Rebecca offered it to me first, and I said, nah. I didn't realize what it was exactly. I didn't. But I felt, because I've got a Likey set of needles, or Licky, or Lykke, I think, which is pretty bougie. And a couple others that aren't so much, but I didn't have Knitter's Pride. Knit and sip? I mean, is this me or what? So after I turned her down, I saw the set, and I'm like, what did I turn down? But the Lord has ways. I mean, it would have blessed whoever got it. But look at this, y'all. Hang on. I stuck these, I think these are either my Likes or something. I'm not sure. Look at this. It's got 2 sets of needles missing out of it. One set I'm using in what I just showed you, that shawl. Look at this. And this is suede-like material. Boosh! Look at all the boosh. Look at the back. So it shows what all's in there. I think, does it show the little... It doesn't show the little bougie bag that all the cords and stuff are in, but I'm getting ready to show y'all. Telling you, y'all get extra content if you want it. Some of you might be gone already. So you open this, and ta-da! Let's see what it says on the back. Oh! Nothing was broken. Oh, my hair. There's 2 of these, see? Cute little espresso cups. Or mugs. No, I don't have an espresso machine. I need to get one. Okay, let me hold these in. Okay, it says the holiday gift set box of needles in shades of coffee. So what'd I say, macchiato was that one? Okay, so I'll read to you some of or maybe I'll wait and do that tomorrow. 8 pairs of interchangeable needle tips from U.S. size 4, or I'll just 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, and 11. And then it has the millimeter sizes. With matte gold connectors, accessories, 4 coffee-colored cords in the following lengths: 24 inches, and it tells what that is in centimeters, 32 inches, and 2 number 40-inch cords, 8 end caps, and 4 cord keys. And you need the keys to tighten when you screw together the tips with the cords. Packed and color-coordinated velvet pouch. Free gift, 2 espresso cups. It calls these cups. I'd say they're little mugs. How bougie. They're pottery. Not marked on the bottom, but anyway. Glazed blue on the inside. Both are the same. So when you open up, I won't go through all the, but all of them have like kinds of coffee, I guess. Yeah, like one says Irish coffee. Well, I'll go ahead and read them. Irish coffee. I said the macchiato. Some of these I might not can read too good. Yeah, the lighter ones are harder to read. Latte. What's this one say? Might have to get my lighted magnifying thing. And it says it on both tips. I can't read that. That might say, I can't read it. Let's see what I say. Irish coffee, espresso, Americano. And golly gosh, what is this? Ristretto. And the finishes, I guess, go with the colors of the coffee. Like the Irish is kind of reddish, or maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, because espresso would be really dark, and this one isn't really dark, so maybe not. Oh, and look, it's got the sizes down here on the gold part. So this one's a US 10. Which is a whatever millimeter, 6 millimeter maybe. Say 6 or 8. Well, whatever. And then, this is so nice. I thank Rebecca so much, and I thank Digo so much, because she could have kept this. But she didn't. So this comes out with the needles on it. And you've got room to put all kind of stuff in here. You could put notions and stuff. And what does this paper tell you about? Oh, paper tells you the directions for how to put the needles together, but I know all that stuff, but I keep it in there. All this is so suede-y, velvety. Look at that pouch. What quality? Smells like a leather. And in here are the cords. And there's several of these. It has the key that you use to tighten. And these are little end caps. If you take it apart, because you might need the needles for something else, you just put these caps on the cord with your work and unscrew the needles and put them on another cord and use it for whatever. How nice. I'm sure I showed that when I won it, but some of y'all might remember. I don't remember showing it. So, there it is. Talk about your booze. I've had them for a while, but hey. In the other set, I know exactly where they are, because my likies, I used them and they're all over this place. I don't know where they are. So I said, with these, I'm keeping up with them. I'm not using a whole bunch of them and having them here, there, and everywhere with my memory. So I know exactly where they are. Well, guess what? Kelly's Crochet Adventures is live, and she's been live for a while, but sometimes she's live for a good while. So I'm going to go over there now and hope she's not going off just yet. Love y'all. Be sweet, don't be ugly. Bye-bye. Good night or good day. Bye.